Rock and Wrestle, known in the US as Bop and Wrestle, is a fairly early example of a very decent wrestling game. Popular opinion would suggest against this, but it had a sophisticated grapple system, rope physics, digitised sound effects, and an impressively varied set of available moves. Oh yeah, it's also known as Rock and Lucha if you happen to be Spanish. It's a one-on-one wrestling game for 1 or 2 players from Melbourne House, the same people who brought us Way of the Exploding Fist. And in one-player mode, you play as a generic-looking blonde wrestler named Gorgeous Greg, who must go up against a colourful roster of increasingly tough computer-controlled wrestlers, with the aim being to get through 10 opponents and eventually to become the champion. I always wondered if this was an ego trip for the main programmer, Greg Barnett, or maybe the graphics designer, Greg Holland, maybe. The characters within the game follow all manner of 1980s wrestling stereotypes. We have a hillbilly, a punk, a cowboy, a bald man with an eye patch, a man in an Arab headdress, an Apache Indian, a lucha libre styled wrestler in a mask, a mustachioed gentleman wearing a peaked leather cap, and a hate-filled aristocrat who wrestles in a bowler hat. In 2-player mode, either player can choose to wrestle as any one of the aforementioned village people, although their moves are all identical, and only the head sprite and colour attributes distinguish them from one another. The ring is viewed from an isometric style, and wrestlers can move up, down, left or right, but not diagonally. While standing, you can use forearm, kick or knee attacks to stun your opponent, and you can also grapple, climb the turnbuckle or bounce off ropes. Grapple moves vary depending on the direction your opponent is facing when you grab him. From the front, you can headbutt him, perform a suplex or lift him up to shoulder height. From there, you can perform a body slam, aeroplane spin or pile driver. From behind, you can perform an atomic drop or backward suplex. From the side, you begin to spin your opponent around and must waggle the joystick to build up speed. Release the fire button to launch them into the ropes, then as they rebound, you can perform a clothesline, drop kick or crossbody pin, therefore timing is essential. While your opponent is on the mat, you can kick him, perform an elbow drop, complete with theatrical wind-up of the arm, or go for the pin. Finish him off in style by bouncing off the ropes first, or climbing the turnbuckle for a high-flying splash pin. Energy is represented by rows of chevrons along the ring apron, and the lower your energy, the more unlikely you will be to be able to break out of a pin. If a wrestler takes too many standing blows or a headbutt, they will spin around the ring in a daze, at which point they can be grabbed again if you're quick. This is the way me and my brother used to cheese through the game, by getting characters in a stun lock like this and just demolishing their energy. It was also the cause of many arguments in 2-player mode. Wrestling is confined to the ring, and you can't leave or throw your opponent out like more of the modern style wrestling games, but it's still pretty awesome with the action that happens within the confines of the ring anyway, to keep you busy enough. Describing the moves only really scratches the surface of Rock and Wrestle, as there's definitely a strategy element to be had too. Stalking your opponent around the ring, learning to strike at just the right moment, when to use certain moves and when not to, and how and when to use the ropes. While the sprites might look a bit rough compared to later C64 games, they are surprisingly well animated, and there are some nice touches, such as the way the ropes bounce. The background is quite dull though, which is a shame. I mean, compared to the amazing backgrounds from Way of the Exploding Fist, you think maybe they would have added some crowds, even something simple, like what you see on the likes of Barry McGuigan's Boxing for example. They added this on the Amstrad CPC, but, as you can see, it probably sacrificed the fluid gameplay for those extra graphics, so maybe they wasn't needed after all. One of my earliest memories was spamming the kick attack against my brother, long enough to watch his wrestler appearing to start doing the hokey-cokey. This usually ended up in tears, as he'd either turn off the C64 or give me a clout to the back of my head. I also discovered there was an unusual way to literally aeroplane yourself outside of the ring. Fun times. Not many games had sampled sound effects back then, and in Rock and Wrestle these are heard over the top of the music. Yes, they are scratchy as hell, and the 3 count is coughed rather than spoken, but it's still mightily impressive for its time. A little more variation in the wrestler's attack style and a greater difficulty curve would have made the game even better. Had there been more use of palette swapping, perhaps even a career mode, similar to aforementioned Barry McGuigan's boxing, then Rock and Wrestle could have been an all-time classic. Despite its flaws, it is difficult to imagine a more complete wrestling game on an 8-bit computer. The controls are responsive. You can beat an opponent without using the same move twice and have the choice to go for a quick pin or try to win in style. These are the marks of a great game. It somehow seems to have more going for it than so many of the later wrestling games. I loved this back in the day, and I still believe this felt super sophisticated and very enjoyable. A game that can be played time and time again. A game that lasted for me, and still brought back a massive amount of nostalgia playing it today. What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, a massive thank you for your continued support. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel if you are enjoying the nostalgia, and remember, there's a whole host of games within the channel playlist just waiting to be rediscovered, so do check those out too. Maybe there's a classic there that you'd forgotten about after all these years, and here on the channel I aim to revitalise those fantastic memories. Hopefully, I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, bye for now. Just want to take a moment to thank the following patrons. It's massively appreciated that you're supporting the channel, covering the games we love. Stay retro.